What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and welcome back to another Pioneer video. And it's been a while. We're going to be looking at an Izzet deck. This time, not the Izzet creativity decks that we've seen, or even the Izzet Phoenix decks that keep popping up, here and there. We're actually going to take a look at a deck that kind of makes it super basic in a way. So we're going to take a look at Izzet Drake. It won, or it excuse me, made it to the semifinals of a Pioneer Challenge last weekend, and the deck's pretty interesting. But before we get too deep into it, of course, if you like the content and you want to see more of this, more modern videos, and other essay type videos alike, please consider subscribing to the channel and ring the notification bell so you know when videos like this get posted. And if you go into the description of this video, there's two links. One of them goes to the Discord server. Go ahead, follow that link and join over there, as well as following my link to Twitch, so you know, and throwing me a follow so you know when I go live. So Izzet Drake's is probably the simplest version of like a blue-red spells deck that we can have. You have 8 creatures. You have Ledger Shredder, which of course we know is a multi-format all-star at this point. It is a household name, and essentially worth, picking up copies of this card whenever possible. And Crackling Drake, which is a card that we have not seen really, we see this as like one-ofs, sometimes in like Izzet Phoenix decks, and back when this card was in standard, it was kind of a staple, in the 8 Drake decks that we had seen. So for those uninitiated, Crackling Drake is double blue and double red for a star 4 flyer, and where its power is equal to instants and sorceries you own in exile and in your graveyard, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Super simple, easy, nothing really to mistake. Of course, this meaning that like the rest of the deck is just going to be tons of spells that kind of like cantrip, and kind of delay the game and get things out of the way so then Crackling Drake can kind of finish things off in one shot. So, of course, you have cards like Consider. It mills cards, you get to look at the top card, you put that card in your graveyard if you want to, and then you get to draw a card, essentially giving you a little bit of like card selection slash like cantripping, as well as kind of fueling like these Crackling Drakes, and even enabling the second spell clause to connive with Ledger Shredder, just simply by like giving you like looking at an extra card to uh, either double spell with, or of course like put into your graveyard, if you don't need it. If you have Fading Hope, just bounces something. If it's mana value is 3 or less, scry 1. Gives you a little bit of additional interaction against some of the smaller like creature decks. Kind of setting back humans pretty decently for the fact that like they could just load up counters on like some big creatures and you just bounce their hand. Some of them don't really have that very good like ETBs and stuff. So definitely sometimes can just be like a hard removal spell in some ways. You have Fiery Impulse, which a lot of the time is just going to deal 3 damage for 1 mana. Very, very good rate for this card. Even just played on like turn 1 or turn 2 to deal 2 damage is enough to kind of give it the nod and get the full 4 of in the deck. You're playing 4 Opt alongside the 4 Consider, which, scry 1, draw a card. It's essentially giving you like that card selection in a way. Obviously, I don't think as good as Consider in this deck, considering that Consider, how many times can you say Consider? Considering that you want to have cards in the graveyard because then your Crackling Drake ends up getting bigger and stuff. But, Opt, getting to replace itself and give you some card selection and stuff, also good enough to be played in this deck. Finally, you have like Spell Pierce, which, is just pretty good like disruption and stuff to kind of like protect some of your things, or have like backup for like your removal spells, like in Blitz of the Thunder Raptor, which we'll get to here in a second. You have Spikefield Hazard, which acts as like an additional land drop, plus getting to deal 1 damage to something is not nothing. I mean, it is literally the definition of not nothing or just barely nothing. But it can come up where you get to kill some like 1-2 toughness creatures, or you just need like that extra point of damage. Spikefield Hazard can give you that, and exiles the creature, or exiles the permanent to boot. So you could finish off like a planeswalker, get rid of their planeswalker, so on. You have card like Strangle, which straight up deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker. Uh, but it's a sorcery. Fiery Impulse being an instant, kind of the reason why you kind of see this 4-2 split of those cards. But Strangle, just no restrictions or anything besides being a sorcery. You get to deal 3 damage straight up to a creature or planeswalker. You have Blitz of the Thunder Raptor, which is this card from Ikoria, and I've never seen this card before until now. It deals damage equal to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, and if that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. So you get kind of the Spikefield Hazard, like bonus benefit if you are able to get the permanent off the table, or in this case, the creature or planeswalker, it goes into exile instead. Um, which can be very what's the word I'm looking for, relevant against some of the other graveyard based decks that we see. We see like Greasefang being one of the most prominent ones, and it's really still played a decent amount. Where you just get rid of a Greasefang and they like can't stay away their Greasefang or whatever. They have to go find another one. So, and being an instant, you can tag Parhelions with this as well. Get rid of the Parhelion and just have your opponent like set back up and stuff, just so like some scenarios where this is actually really good. And I'm surprised it's only played like 2 of. I imagine you could probably find like a place for like a third one maybe, but that's neither here nor there. You have Fires of Victory, which is an interesting one from the Brothers War. It's like a 2 mana, it deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your hand, but if the spell was kicked, you draw a card. So if this is the only card in your hand and you cast it and kick it, it will deal 1 damage to your opponent because you draw the card before it ends up dealing the damage to whatever thing that you target. So that is something that can happen. You have Roast, which just straight up gets rid of creature, aka a Shieldred. Treasure Cruise lets you, obviously pay down to 1 blue mana to draw 3 cards, exiling those cards so Crackling Drake still maintains its power and toughness. Of course, just being another cheap spell to trigger Connive on the Ledger Shredder. 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker, because Fable of the Mirror Breaker, just getting to copy a Crackling Drake every turn, put your opponent into the abyss to try to block with a ton of flyers, and then obviously eventually can just take out your opponent as well. The mana, Hall of the Storm Giants, staple in like these blue red decks. Just get to pay 6 mana, have a 7/7 ward 3. Your opponent really isn't going to be able to deal with it. Kill them almost on the spot. Otawara is kind of like an uncounterable like removal bounce type spell, and of course all these blue red dual lands. And that is the Izzet Drake deck for the Pioneer format. Definitely an interesting take on some of the Izzet decks that we've seen. Probably on the high end of powerful, strictly for the fact that like you do have some one shot potential, along with just like chaining a bunch of spells together and then eventually just like hitting your opponent over the course of like 1 or 2 turns to win the game that way. But also, I could see things going very awry very quickly, with the lack of threats that the deck has and the lack of recursive threats that this deck has on top of that. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel so you get more content like this, modern, and other essay videos, of course. And, of course, follow the links in the description as well to the Discord server and to Twitch as well. That's going to do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next video.